Hello, everyone. Jesse Cox's eyes are joining us this week for a special episode. I don't know what
I'm trying to show off my fleek eyebrows as well.
we gotta
So
we
that
gotta get you
everyone
in
will-
frame, Jesse. You're there. We
Hold
go.
on, let me slouch. Let me slouch for
Are
you.
you slouching? Oh, it feels good, doesn't it? Doesn't it
I
feel
love a
good?
slouch.
That's about 3 hours into
Further
stream
down.
for me.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm slouching now. Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
Hold on, I got like a whole camera issue here. Don't worry about me.
Line it up. Line it up. We need that clock in the background. Actually, you can't even see that on stream, so we're good.
Yeah, you can't even see my old clock and my grandmother's old side table.
It's great.
Y'all,
side tables are great. I like a side table, you know?
Let me tell you about old ass stuff that people give you.
Uh-huh.
It's great. You don't have to pay for it. That's the best thing in the world.
Is it?
Find yourself some relatives who are like old and they're like, I don't need this anymore. And you're like, I'll take it.
It's true.
I think my favorite thing about old stuff is that it's always really sturdy.
They don't make them like they used to, you know?
Well, all right. Here's the difference. I have a dresser over here that is old and well made, but this thing behind me, it's garbage.
Yeah.
I think my grandmother got it at like the old person $50 store. Yeah,
Oh.
It is pretty trash. But here's the thing: it's functional. It works. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, it's a side table. You don't, if it stands, it's a good side table, I think.
Yeah, and I got my clock with giant numbers on it, so I
Great.
can wake my old ass up and be like, oh, what time is it?
Does it have a giant button on it?
It has 3 giant buttons.
Oh, that's too many
And
giant buttons, man.
Oh, no, they're all super easy to use. Oh, they're all like ultra highlighted. Oh, it's great. Let me tell you, it is good.
It's a lot of buttons.
Yeah. One says alarm, one says daytime, and one says double, triple alarm to wake up in time for the MCU crew.
There you
Happy
go.
Monday.
We've got our own
9 a.m.
designated button. I like it.
Somebody I know once said, the first time, if you wake up in the morning, the first thing you do is hit the snooze button. That's your first failure of the day. And
oh, what
until
the?
now,
Don't put that shit on me, Bronze.
I know.
What the fuck?
I feel like they're a serial killer because I was like, how dare you take my one joy out of the day, which is hitting that snooze button for the first time.
I was wondering where you were going with that because, admittedly, the way you started it sounded like you were being like, and every day since then, I've always remembered that. And I was be like, someone showed up to this. Someone showed up like, sorry, I slept in. Someone, no names. Someone showed up like
me because I hit the snooze button because I don't eat people.
I know you're an honest person. I know. Look, I just thought I was gonna catch you in a lie and I was gonna blast you. I was gonna be like, pew to the moon. Oh, I was ready. It was gonna happen.
I hated this person for making me feel like shit about it though. Because every day I'm like, do I want this to be my first failure of the day? Fuck it, I do.
Yeah, what the
if fuck? If that's your only failure of the day, you're doing great. You have that. That's your metric. That's like your baseline. Like, look, is this better or worse than not waking up on time?
See, here's the truth of it though, Bronze. When you get to my age, I don't know how old you are, to be honest. Maybe we're the same age. When you get to my age though, you're up far before that alarm will ever go off every day. No matter what. It just happens. And then your alarm goes off multiple times when you're, I don't know, doing something that you didn't think you were going to be doing at 8 a.m. in the morning.
Look, I want to give you the hardest time for this and be like, yeah, old man, but here's the thing. My alarm was set for 7. I woke up at 6:30, took a shower. The alarm went off while I was in the shower.
Yep.
So I'm on the same page as you. Absolutely. Yep. I was like, oh, come on. It's like,
it's rough. It's rough.
You know, normally every day I wake up at 8:30, except when I don't. You know?
Well, here's the thing. I know me, and I just, once I know myself, once you like know yourself, I I
In
will
like
wake
a
up
biblical
early.
sense, or what are we saying here, Jesse? Like,
I
let's
mean,
explore
first
this.
off, obviously, I hope so in a biblical sense. Like, I'm not really sure what my body is like. I just don't look at it often. No, like, I know for a fact that I will wake up and then rather than do anything, spend an hour just like, what's on the internet today?
Oh yeah.
And waste. So like, I now scheduled to get up earlier just so I can get that out of the way because I have to do it every day because it's how I work apparently.
Yeah.
See, that's where I cut down. I think I was
Smart.
like, yo,
You're smarter.
A smart person would.
Yeah. Mess with my phone right now, or would I rather sleep in for 10 minutes? Because I'm gonna be honest with you. Sometimes I read some stupid shit on the internet that I'm like, is this really how I want to start my day? With this not like that Horizon
I
Zero
got all that
discourse
muted
yesterday. Imagine reading that right when you wake up. Nah, couldn't be me. I couldn't do it.
I got called a sad clown by a bunch of gifts today, so that's how my day started.
Well, that's how it goes, Some days you're a happy clown, some days you're a sad clown.
You know what is I would prefer not to be a clown some days, but apparently that is my fate.
Yeah, maybe that's just how it is.
You're so funny, Pagliacci.
There you go.
Yeah.
Anyways, hello and welcome to the MCU Crew, the show where I'm going to steal from the late great TB, where we sometimes talk about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Cheers to that. Cheers to that. What is going on? This is all build up to Loki next week. Actually, we're almost there. We're getting there. Almost. Although we will have to wait 2 more episodes for this. Maybe. Probably.
Do you think we'll have more information in the coming weeks as to what we'll see? I don't know.
We've already got some.
All the shows they're going to give us.
What a great question, Jesse. According to the producer of Loki, this week, what did this producer say? Is this okay? Did they? I'm trying to find the full quote. Okay, Waldron. What's his full name? Waldron is his last name. I don't know what his first name is though. It doesn't matter. Waldron, who produced Loki and wrote the plot, the pilot. Sorry, not the plot. He also wrote the script for Doctor Strange 2. He told Total Film that Loki wasn't intentionally written to lead into Doctor Strange 2, but the show will cause, quote, messes. The full quote is, all of these stories in their own way are interconnected and have ramifications. I think that certainly our aim with the Loki series was for it to have wide-reaching ramifications across the MCU moving forward. So, was I having to clean up some messes that I made with Loki? Maybe so. That's what he says. I don't know what that means. That's like one of those things where it could mean nothing.
If I had to guess, as someone who's watched 2 MCU Disney Plus shows now,
sure,
it's gonna be one of those things where it's like, if you watched the show, you'll be like, "Oh, Loki did that." If you watch the movie, it won't matter either way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think they're gonna keep it there. You made a great observation. I think about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Where like, if you saw the end of Endgame but you didn't watch that, then you're still fine because the end of Endgame set up what's going to happen to Falcon, essentially.
Yeah, in the next movie where Falcon shows up, he's still going to have his, like, entrance moment for the people who didn't see the TV show. He's going to, like, walk in or fly in looking like a badass, and we'll be like, oh, yeah, he's the new Captain America. And you don't need to have seen the Disney Plus show, but it helps.
Yeah.
I definitely think a lot of these quotes are usually to try to get people to have a reason to watch these shows, as opposed because they're good, but I think a lot of people go into it very much like, I don't know if I want to watch this or if I have to watch it, which is why I think like having that loose affiliation, people be like, well, now I have to, because we live in a time where, let's be real, there's a lot of media that comes out like every single day. There's like a new show, something new to do, and I feel like a lot of people have gotten to this place where they're like, is that good? Should I watch that? And then everyone tells them yes, and they're still like,
I don't know. I could.
Yeah.
Maybe we watch some more Hoarders. There's the 13th season of that out. Perhaps we should check that one out.
Oh my god.
Maybe they've
I
stopped
used to be
hoarding.
addicted to that show.
Oh, no, we were
I
talking
used to
about
wash
that.
my house and watch Hoarders.
Yeah. It's tough. Jesse's
I think
thinking
we all
about
have
And
going
I'd be
there.
like, how many
No.
dead cats are they gonna find today? I used to like start a game with myself. And you might be like, chat might be like, what in Hoarders? Yes. You would be shook at how many dead cats they find in Hoarders. But I'm like, my bet on this house is 3.
A lot of dead cats.
I can't watch
Lot of dead
Hoarders. I
cats.
can't do it. I can't. I will go over to friends' houses and be like extra judgy when stuff is like a mess. That's who I am as a person. I'm like, I must, but I won't say anything. I'll just be like, it's all good, Jesse. You only have to be here a few hours.
The
then you
show
can leave."
itself gives you anxiety. Yeah.
All I'm saying is, I'm putting this out there. A lot of streamers have one clean room, and it's the room they're currently in streaming.
Correct.
The rest of their house they've never been in before in their life. They
Well-
just like throw stuff in there and then like go back to their streaming room. I'm just putting it out there. They have like 4 rooms or 5 rooms. All those rooms ain't never been lived in, but it's definitely where they keep the boxes. It's where they keep like all the fast food containers they left there. Trust me, y'all. I know this streamer life. I see it all the time, and I'm just like, and if I'm calling you out right now, it's because you know it's true.
Usually,
You know
though,
it's true.
I'll take Jesse's commentary one step further. It's usually what's in frame is the clean part.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
It's when you get out of frame that that's where the mess begins. In a lot of
My
ways.
absolute.
You ever just
I'm
like
gonna
want
put
to
'em on-
fight someone? Because somebody was like, Bronze is being called out. I was like, how dare you? My house is like really nice. I'm Punjabi, so like if my house even has minimal clutter, I won't invite people over because I'm like, like inflicting that on someone is rude. Like if you have clothes on your couch, asking somebody to be like, oh, like just make space for yourself. That happened to me one time, and I stopped being friends with the girl where I was like, make space for myself. Make space. You want me to move your shit to make space for me to sit on the couch?
As you should.
I'm going home. And I'm
Yes.
taking the Burgerville I brought with me.
Here's all I'll say. I'm gonna put our dear friend Sam on blast because sharing an office with him was
I can't
a
hear
joy.
this. I can't hear.
a joy. A joy.
I can't hear this about my
Sam's-
ex-husband.
Sam's office was like a
Stepping
perfect
away.
frame. The background was beautiful, perfect frame. But then behind the camera, 8,000 boxes and like all these things fall like a pile of shit. And then like all these things that he was sent that he just never. It was amazing. We were like, how? And he's like, I got to put him somewhere. And we were just like, whoa! It was amazing. It was I've never been more sure that everything on the internet was a lie until that moment, because what was in front of the camera, like what he was in frame, was perfect. It was like 3 like perfectly placed statues and like a bunch of like things, and then behind all that, on the other side of the camera and the computer was like World War III. It was wild. And that is yeah, it's all lies. Everything's a lie. Don't believe anything
Great.
anyone tells you.
Sam is a perfect human being and has done no wrong. As far as
Are you afraid he's gonna yell at you, JP?
Blink twice if you need help.
Nah. Oh boy, how did we get here? What's going on? I'm not even sure what was said, but it's okay. Sam will catch wind of it one day. Maybe.
Yeah, and since like you're in the middle, it's technically your show.
Oh God.
So whatever happens, and I want you to know, you started it.
That's how it goes. Yeah, I don't even know what was said. So this is one of those things where I don't know how to transition out of here or say, Tom Hiddleston plays Loki in the upcoming series Loki, and that's what we're going to use to transition out of here. I think we've talked Loki to death in a lot of ways. At least last week. It's one of those things where we have no idea where the show's going to go in terms of what it's actually going to do. And I felt, didn't they say the same shit about like WandaVision of like, oh, it's going to change the MCU forever. Then like not that much changed, right? Like It kind of did, but not really.
Who said that though?
I feel like someone said. Maybe I'm making it up. They had to have said that, right? Let's see.
They had to have said that?
I feel like they have. I wouldn't just make that up. WandaVision will change everything. Let's just Google that.
If that is an actual quote, I'll be blown away because you're right. It's not true, but who would have said that?
I mean, there's a lot of that. IGN's got a video, comicbook.com. Everyone's got that tagline, but I don't know if there's an actual MCU staffer.
Is that IGN being like, we saw this and it will change everything? Because that's the most IGN title I've ever heard in my life.
I think it is. Yeah.
It will change the world. 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I think I said it. I think I was the one that said
it. You said that?
They're gonna quote me on all this stuff moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it's gonna go. Yeah, I'm scanning to see if there's any. I don't think they said that. I don't know. Maybe Loki changes some stuff. Who could say? I don't know what the extent is gonna be.
He'll change our mind on the adventures of, I don't know, other characters in the MCU. I don't know. It's gonna be nonsense. It's gonna be super fun. Like, it's not gonna be anything important.
Maybe.
I don't know.
There could be a lot of parallels though between this and Doctor Strange 2, though, especially because the same guy wrote it. Right? Like, he wrote the pilot and he wrote the script for Doctor Strange 2. So there's got to be some. You don't write a pilot without like setting up the rest of the show, right? Like, he definitely can dictate where the show's going. So. You don't think so? You don't think so?
I mean, usually the pilot's written by 1 or 2 people, and then the writer's room writes the show. And there may be like a direction it's headed, but like, you know, there's each episode has a lead writer, and then the other writers like help.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
You know, I mean, yes, you're probably correct, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that way.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you can also, you know, there are great examples of it going both ways. So, you know, sometimes you get great series that are all connected and everything makes sense, and a lot of times you don't. And
True.
That's the, you know.
There were some more quotes. There were some more quotes. I'm talking like that from Hiddleston. He told Entertainment Weekly, "I love this idea of Loki's chaotic energy somehow being something we need, even though for all sorts of reasons you don't know whether you can trust him. You don't know whether he's going to betray you. You don't know what he's going to be doing." And he also said, during the show, Loki will continue to struggle with his identity, which has always caused some chaos in the past movies. The official quote, "If he's shape-shifting so often, does he even know who he is? And is he even interested in understanding who he is? Underneath all those masks, underneath the charm and wit, which is kind of a defense anyways, does Loki have an authentic self? Is he introspective enough or brave enough to find out? I think all those ideas are in the series. Ideas about identity, ideas about self-knowledge, self-acceptance, and the difficulty of it." Are we gonna see like Loki start sobbing because he doesn't know who he is anymore? I don't think we're gonna see that.
That almost sounds like a setup.
Yes, you're absolutely right. That's exactly what I was thinking. Yes.
Yeah, it sounds like they're setting him up to be like, oh, female Loki, or, you know, horse Loki, where it's like he doesn't even know who he is anymore. And it's the exact same character, just like shapeshifted into a woman, because he shapeshifts so much. Like, he just doesn't have an idea of who he is anymore. I feel like they're almost setting it up for him to pass the torch or move on, because the Loki we know might not be the Loki. The real Loki is really, that's just what he presents as most of the time.
What if Owen becomes Loki? I'd actually love an episode of Owen as Loki and Hiddleston as Mobius. That would be real stupid. Be real dumb.
I think that could be like super fun as sort of like, where does Loki land this guy out of time who is supposed to be dead? I know we talked about before, like, oh, you know, it's this whole thing about he does this, and then he does this, and then he ends up in Endgame. And that is pretty much the way people talked when they talked about WandaVision. It was like, oh, it's going to be House of M, or, you know, Captain America. Honestly, I think it's probably we need to cut all that out. Forget that even was a thing idea we had, and this idea is even better. That at the end of the series, he just takes over for Owen Wilson, and it's like, oh, what happened to Owen Wilson's character? Like, doesn't matter. Now he's just pretending to be Owen Wilson in the TVA, and he has the authority and power in that, position out of time, and he can do whatever. Like, that could equally be fun.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. I didn't know this. I kept reading in this article. Apparently when Loki died in the Dark World, that was supposed to be his end as a character in the MCU, but it was rewritten because test audiences did not want him to die. So they rewrote his character, and included him obviously in Thor Ragnarok and then in Infinity War as well. Didn't know that.
Controversial opinion.
Oh.
I don't think that you should always listen to the fans. I think that that's when things stop making sense and they get really weird and stupid because I guess in this case it worked out because their writing for Loki was pretty solid, but I know that when the whole WandaVision reveal happened that they cast this actor that specifically had an attachment to the franchise, but it was just for a goof, it didn't mean anything. A lot of people were petitioning and saying stuff like, oh no, we should get this guy cast as the actual Quicksilver or whatever. And all I could think was I don't think fans bullying writers into doing something is ever a good precedent because I'm pretty sure this is for another show, but I'm pretty sure that's why the new Star Wars trilogy friggin' sucked because it doesn't have a consistent narrative in any of it because they're just we're going to give the fans what they want. I'm going to do what the fans hate just to spite them. And I'm like, did y'all just why can't you sit down and just come up with a story you want to tell and then just tell it? But yes, Jesse.
No, I was just saying, the minute you started talking about this, I was like, Rise of Skywalker. That's in my head immediately. I mean, it is the most perfect example of a studio listening to some fans making a movie that then no one was happy about. The people who liked, The Last Jedi did not like it. The people who hated Last Jedi did not like it. It's just not a good movie. It's a genuinely awful movie.
I will
say
there's a difference between listening to fans and focus groups, right? There's somewhat of a difference there, right? Focus groups are not reading social media. There's a little bit more to it behind that. However, I do agree. I do agree in the grand scheme of things. Maybe there's stuff you shouldn't focus test, and maybe you should just trust your gut. Just make a good story, right?
There's a lot of stories about movie endings that have been redone. There's a lot. I'm sure there are YouTube videos and things you can look up on it. There's a lot of great examples of where a movie had an ending and the focus group was like, it's too sad. And then you go see the original ending and you're like, this is so much better. Yeah. This is infinitely better than what we got. And every time, it almost happens every time, you're just like, idiots, big, dumb, stupid idiots. Why'd they show it to these dummies? Oh, yeah. It upsets me. It happens quite frequently where they change a whole ending based on I didn't like the main character died. It's but that's the whole point. You negated the last 2 hours of the movie.
Yeah.
Why did you do this? Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, I thought it was really ironic that so many people that were initially into Game of Thrones were into Game of Thrones because they were like, look at all these great characters. Finally, it's not like Lord of the Rings. There are people with flaws and nuance. And then they were like, wait, why is this character I like doing this thing that I don't like? I don't like that. And I was just like,
Admittedly, the show was great when they had books to go off of. And then when they were just freeballing it, because they were like, hey, the fans love this character. Let's make them a bigger role. And you're like, that's, but they're not, though. They're just the side character who says 3 lines an episode, and that should be it. They don't have to have a love interest, and they don't this isn't like The Hobbit where we need to know what the love story between an elf and a dwarf is. No one knows or cares. It doesn't matter. And I don't need her being is this love, or whatever the hell that line is. Like, F that shit. Evangeline Lilly, I love you. That sucked. All right, moving along. I love her ever since Lost. Actually before Lost, when she was on the 1-900 numbers late at night. Loved her then. She was. Go back and look.
I didn't know that.
While the first season of Lost was on, she still was like, call me. Oh yeah, it was great. Anyway, love her to death, but also that movie sucked. Anyway, continuing on.
Okay, all right. Wait, which movie?
The Hobbit sucked.
Oh, I thought this was an Ant-Man rant. I didn't hear the secret words, The Hobbit. Yeah.
For someone who loves the Lord of the Rings films, like, to death, Hobbit sucked. Actually, the first Hobbit movie was, like, kind of fun, but, like, pointless. And the other two were, like, how do we stretch out a third of a book? And it, like, it sucked.
Yes.
It sucked.
Yes. I agree. The only thing redeemable about the Hobbit trilogy, I think, is it had, like, 2 or 3 good moments. And that was it, which is not good for a trilogy. But I loved, like, when they sing that's what Bilbo Baggins hates, and he's wearing that, like, ridiculous robe. That was fire. And I absolutely loved Galadriel storming the Necromancer's Keep and being like, sup, I'm here for my homies. I'm going to save them. I'm going to carry this wizard out of here. That was kind of cool.
True.
I liked seeing that one dude on the boar. That was fire. Or he's like, do you mind if you just fuck off or whatever? Like, that was
I'm all
cool,
CG and I'm here to be a dwarf. Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, like, here's the thing.
That.
The things that are in that movie that are fun, be it like, I love that. The things that are in the movie that are fun are the things that are also tacked on. Like, we added a fun scene, right? It, like, the stuff that should be the main focus is like, whatever. Like, you know, there is no need for the Hobbit story to have a whole scene where, like, and then we now know what is the actual eye of Sauron. But meanwhile, I'm sitting in the theater just like, that's pretty damn cool. That's pretty. The eye is also the dude. The eye, like, that's pretty. You know what? That's pretty effing cool. Unnecessary, totally dumb. But I was like, I like that more than the rest of the movie. I was like, oh, that shit's fine. Like, look at him. He's standing in the eye. It wasn't just an eye. It was the dude. Yeah, that's cool. The rest of it, I was like, yeah, I don't need to see a scene where they, like, ride down barrels and throw fish at dudes. Like, I'm good.
It's too much Legolas.
Oh yeah,
how do you spend that much time with Legolas when you have Thranduil? And Thranduil is great. Lee Pace was like the weirdest elf. I was here for it.
It's a very like uneven film, and it screams of we had to make this rather than we want to make this. If that makes any sense. Like, there's a lot in it where it's like, yeah, they felt obligated to do some stuff. Even though I guess it wasn't even supposed to be their film. It was supposed to be someone else's film.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Wasn't it? I don't remember who was supposed to do it at first.
Was Jackson like, you can't destroy my shit? Give me my movie back?
Oh, it was Del Toro.
Yeah.
Oh. And they were supposed to do it a certain way.
And then some strikes happened in New Zealand. And then I think like 2 other things happened, and so Peter Jackson admits in the behind the scenes stuff that he very reluctantly took up the mantle, and it shows.
Yes.
He didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. I mean, the difference. Literally, go watch the behind the scenes of the Lord of the Rings like collector's editions, like the 5,000 hour one. They are like, this is. I spent 16 hours today, creating a new song that is all in Elvish.
Right.
It's like when people are like super fans of like,
yeah,
like Klingon and shit. And they're like, I know all the Kaplaz and I can drink blood wine in 16 different languages, like that kind of shit. We're like, why? And he's like, because I love it. And the same thing with Lord of the Rings. And you know, it was very obvious that The Hobbit was like whatever. So
yeah,
whatever.
It is what it is. That's it for Loki and The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
The infamous tale of Loki and The Hobbit. What else?
Loki's kind of elfish. He's kind of an elf man.
Yeah, he's half elf. Well, he's half frost giant, but yeah.
He's
yeah.
Frost giant, but like that's close.
Didn't they reveal the budget for the new Amazon Lord of the Rings spinoff? And it's insane.
600 million, I think, is what it is. Yeah.
I'm excited for that. I hope it's like fire.
Expensive as shit, for sure. But a lot of that's probably set making that hopefully not hopefully, but I would think that those sets are used multiple times over multiple seasons, right? Like the city of X, the house of Y, all that type stuff.
I'm very curious. It has the same level of like, I wonder how this is going to be of, say, Wolverine, for example. Like, how do you replace Hugh Jackman? I can think of a million ways, but he's like in the lexicon of the public eye. Hugh Jackman is what Wolverine looks like. And even when they reset the entire X-Men cast, they're like, Wolverine's still Wolverine. Right. So it's very similar, I think, to this, where it's like, well, I know the Lord of the Rings is one way. Am I prepared for this other version of it? And I don't know. And I think that's, a big thing the MCU has to consider when it comes to X-Men, right? We have, for the last 25 years, had a certain group of X-Men that we all kind of know.
Yeah.
And even when they changed up to the McAvoy X-Men, it still followed the original, like, the original characters were still attached to that universe. So it'll be interesting to see who they cast, where they pull them from.
I honestly think that's why they're going into this multiverse shit, so that they can like honor that and say like, oh yeah, that was like, those are the X-Men that existed in this one version of the MCU, but it's not our Earth's version of the MCU or sorry, of the X-Men. It's not the MCU's version of the X-Men in a lot of ways. That's how they'll like get that around, I think, for fans. Because if they just straight up say like, this is Wolverine, it's like, no, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, motherfucker. Like, I don't know who this person is. Like,
exactly. Like, that's a real hard recast.
Yeah.
And I know everyone has their opinions on what Wolverine's supposed to look like, but Hugh Jackman became synonymous with the look. Like, people had a lot of ideas what Captain America should look like, but like, not everyone is going to be Robert Downey Jr. and literally look like the person they're supposed to be playing, like they were born to play the role. It's like, it's not going to happen all the time. So when you see a new character come in and they play that new role, I think there's, at first you're like, okay. And then you get your ass, Heath Ledger Jokered, where everyone on the internet spent a whole year being like, dumbest casting ever, worst decision ever. And the movie came out and that's all people talked about forever, was like, the best Joker. And
yeah,
shit happens.
I think that they can rewrite some of the what's the less celebrity like X-Men characters, right? Like Cyclops. I don't know who fucking played the old Cyclops, and he was a shitty character in those movies. Like, give me a better Cyclops.
They need to do him justice. You're right. They need a good Cyclops.
Cyclops is fucking sick as hell in the comics, and in the movies, he's a bitch. Right? Like,
a lot of people hate Scott Summers, though.
Well, he's an asshole. He's a fucking prick. Yeah, in the comics.
But he's a very like proficient asshole in the comics, whereas in the movies, he's just kind of like, you stole my girlfriend.
Well, I mean, that's the only
to backstab him. That's your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only arc that they really followed, was you stole my girlfriend, or were like in love with my. It's weird, but also like the resolution sucked as well. Where he's like, "Hey, baby," and she's like, "Vaporize, bitch." Like, like this sucks. Let's all remember how bad X-Men Last Stand was. That movie,
I don't want
truly trash.
I don't want
that movie sucks.
I don't
all
want
the
to.
balls.
I just hope that I want a good Cyclops, and I hope his costume is literally not Condom Man with like some fucking visor from the 80s on him. That's all I want. I want a good Cyclops with a good costume. That's all I could want from the X-Men. That and an Archangel. I want a great angel. Give me a great Archangel.
Like, I don't want to dumb it down, but like, he's supposed to be the Leonardo, and Wolverine is Raphael. Like, that is as simple as that.
Yes.
And like the scheme of the team, right? And that's why, shout out to Ninja Turtles, they always did it well. Leader, crazy guy, party dude, nerd. It's that simple. And that's pretty much what X-Men was Except, then they were like, yeah, so while Leonardo's definitely banging April O'Neil, Raph is trying to hit that too. And it's like causing some trouble in the group. Like, no. They should have, that's why Casey Jones showed up. And then they were like, we're friends and we support her and her adventures. All I'm saying is Turtles did it better. There, I had to say it. Ninja Turtles is far superior. Anyway.
Turtles not bad.
But who's the party animal? Like, we know the nerd is Beast, but who's the party animal?
Right.
Get Gambit.
Party animals, or maybe Kitty. No, she's kind of a nerd.
Maybe Jubilee.
Sucks.
Although
Jubilee is a party.
I'm going to be real honest. I've always thought Jubilee... Iceman would probably
Dazzler.
work. I've always thought Jubilee is just the stupidest hero in the entire Marvel world. Like, what the fuck does she even do? What does she do?
Jubilee does suck, but I loved the way the animated series made her the focus. Like the old animated series.
Well, she was like the new kid on the block. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was super smart. Because she doesn't have like a lot of great powers.
No.
So I love that they brought her in.
She's like 4th of July lady.
Good.
It is. I need to rewatch it. Yeah.
Like the whole Gambit and Rogue story, like all of it, that was very good.
Juggernaut's
great
10
work
out of
with
10.
that back in the day.
Mr. Sinister's in there. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
I've been rewatching the animated X-Men on Disney Plus, and it's pretty great.
Is it good? Does it hold up?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I should go back and watch that. Right? The song.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good.
Right, Bronze, the song.
Yeah.
Yep. All I want to see.
That song and the intro to Batman Beyond are the two greatest cartoon intros of all time.
It's true. Batman Beyond. What a series. The animated series also good, but I might be a Beyond fan over that. I just had the
Batman
casting.
Beyond Joker. Like,
good.
like the something Joker.
The Joker.
Return of the Joker.
Yeah.
No, like the whole
like a
movie.
Whole plan.
Yeah.
But like the movie that was like the Return of the Joker movie or whatever it was. That shit's fire. That was so good.
That's good. I just had a casting realization. If they ever do Mr. Sinister, they should get Jon Hamm to play him. That's like perfect casting. It's perfect. He's got the hair already. And you just put a diamond right here in the middle of his forehead. Be great.
The only part that I don't know that I like is if it just he uses Jon Hamm voice. You know what I mean? Jon Hamm has Jon Hamm voice.
Well,
and
Mr. Sinister's like Romanian. Mr. Sinister's like Romanian, right? Like he's Russian.
He
Romanian.
has an accent. He definitely has like an accent. And Jon Hamm is Jon Hamm in everything. Even when he's an angel, he's Jon Hamm.
Right.
Like no matter what, he's Jon.
You're correct.
Yeah. If you
Good
want,
Omens,
like,
right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. All I'm gonna say is, if you want the best Jon Hamm, go watch Toast of London. There's an episode where Jon Hamm guest stars. Toast of London is a great show, hilarious, very funny. Has one of my absolute favorite actors in the world. But in an episode, Jon Hamm shows up, and the whole thing is about how everyone loves Jon Hamm. Everyone loves him, and he's just the most charming man in the world, and it is hilarious. And that's all I'm going to say. I don't want to spoil nothing. Go watch it. It is a ludicrous show. Shout out to the folks across the pond for making great TV. That's all I'll say.
There you go. What else is out there in actual official proper news? This was all but confirmed, so I guess they finally just got out there and confirmed it. Oscar Isaac is now 100% playing the old Moon Knight. He had a straight up tweet, or I guess Marvel Studios had a straight up tweet that said, "We are Moon Knight," with him quoting there and him looking quite sinister, as Mr. Oscar Isaac can do. I think that's great casting. I love that guy. I think he's a great actor. I think he was incredible in Ex Machina, and he was all right in the Star Wars. He was so good that they actually didn't kill his character off. That's how good he was. Right?
Yeah, I was about to say, I would say that of all the people, he came out looking the best in the new Star Wars movies.
Yeah,
he walked away from that train wreck in better shape than when he got on board.
Right.
Yeah. I think this is gonna be amazing. I think this is
Have you seen Ex Machina? Have you seen that movie before, Jess?
Yeah, I love that movie. That movie
he is the perfect amount of insane in that movie that if he just like pushes that level of insanity, Moon Knight's going to be incredible.
I watched it on a plane. It was awkward.
That's real
awkward. It was an awkward viewing. It was an awkward viewing experience when everyone's dancing naked and I'm on the plane like, movies, am I right? Yeah. It was a weird experience, but I liked it. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Yeah, I didn't even know about it until I was on that plane. I was like, oh, damn, I love futurism and or cyborgs play. I was like, that's a nipple on a plane. Okay, well.
Jesse,
cool.
I think I've told you this before. The best movie, but also worst movie I've ever watched on a plane was Sully with Tom Hanks.
I would wonder why they would show that on a plane, but you know what?
No, I watched it on my iPad and I had a bunch of people staring at me.
Oh, okay. All right.
I didn't think about that until I was about 30 minutes in that movie. It was just like, oh, fuck. So I did the casual, like, lean against the window thing. And, like, this. By the end of it, I was angled like that so no one could see it. It was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Does everybody have an embarrassing airplane movie?
I think so. I mean, you got to, right?
I think mine was, in my defense, I don't know anything about a lot of European history because I, was raised in the Indian education system. I watched this movie called, I think like The Favorite or something like that. And it's about like this queen who had this girl that was like her favorite and her confidant, but then she replaced her with like a younger maid. But there's like, that movie's lesbian as hell.
Yeah.
They were like, there's got so much lesbian sex in there. Dude behind me, I could hear him snickering every time these girls were going at it. And I remember at one point turning around and being like, I thought it was a period film. I didn't.
Yeah.
That's the most embarrassing movie to watch on a plane. Well, not the most, but one of.
Yeah, I think any movie that's like has a lot of sexual content in it is just odd as shit. But there's always the passengers that just like own it and they just don't give a fuck, right? They have like no awareness of what's happening around them. Like kids could be playing right next to them and they're just like full on watching some people fuck and they're just like, all right. Pretty good. Let me get a drink of my little Diet Coke here real quick. Oh, that's great.
They pour it in their little plastic cup, like
yeah.
Yeah. Look at them go at it. Ooh. Yeah. It is almost as awkward as going to look. I own the most awkward moment ever. Going to go see a girl with a dragon tattoo with my parents. That was an experience that I was like,
yeah, yeah.
And my parents are like, I was like, are you what? And they're just like, it was so it was
awkward for you, but not for them.
No, it was fine for them. They were like, it was an all right movie. And I'm just like, I'm glad we're not talking about anything other than it was an all right movie because I am totally weirded out now. Yeah.
There's a scene from The Raid 2 that's like that because I am a big fan of both of those movies.
Great movie.
And I always forget that there's a scene in the second one that's actually a bit much where a porno is being shot. And I swear to God, I'll always tell my friends, like, you haven't seen The Raid 2? You have to watch it. It's so good. And then that scene pops up near the beginning and I'm like, okay, wait, hold on.
Well, I mean, it happens. All right. It sets up the rest of the, not really, but,
I like how people try, like, I don't think I remember that. Most people don't because it's such an insignificant part of the film. But when you, like, tell your friends, like, you got to watch this movie, you got to watch this movie, you got to watch this movie. And then there's just, I can't even describe the scene, but the entire scene is so sexual, but also ridiculous. You're just like, I don't know what to do here.
I'm just going to blow Oscar Isaac's eyes up here and have him judging us more.
He's judging.
Yeah.
He's judging.
He's straight up judging us.
He's judging your plain movie choices.
I love this article that I pulled up to discuss this is really silly because it says the upcoming series will follow the character of Mark Spector, who's an ex-mercenary who uses multiple identities to fight crime. That's a superpower, is that he has multiple identities to fight crime.
I mean,
Such a weird way of putting it, but
yeah,
okay.
yeah. He summons the powers of an Egyptian god to get his strength. Yes, that's that's where that comes from. Which I guess that'll be the first like I guess we are getting Zeus and Love and Thunder, right? So we're getting a different pantheon there. But this will be like a completely different pantheon in that world. I wonder if they're just gonna like start exploring every pantheon of gods and be like, oh yeah, let's make all these like old tales about gods and heroes make sense. Let's bring those into the MCU. Is that gonna be like phase 5 or something? Where they just start exploring the shit out of that?
It seems like a weird thing to wait for. Like, let's wait 5 years to talk about like Zeus and Ares. But it also, I'm very curious if it's a touchy subject to avoid because of, say, Wonder Woman, where like literally DC's like, our character is directly related to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I feel, again, I know we probably are like, man, this is going to be dope to see like another Pantheon. But something about it, about the movie and about the fact that the certain villain is going to be in that film, I imagine Russell Crowe is going to like, he's in it to die, right? He has to be.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Like, the whole point is, it's like, the reason why there are no Greek gods anymore is because this dude killed them all, you know?
Yeah. I also wonder if they're going to, in talking about the different pantheons, I wonder if they're going to be like, oh yeah, this is Olympus, and Olympus is another planet. And, you know, they just go into that shit. Or if it's going to be like, hi, I'm Russell Crowe, then like he gets stabbed from somewhere off camera and that's it. That's his entire thing.
I almost feel like he's going to be the guy in the intro. Like, you know, there's the villain always has to have that one. Yeah, that one scene in the beginning. And Russell Crowe's going to be like, come on, gods, let's kick this guy's ass. He's going to be like, bitch. And there's going to be like a blade coming out of his hand. And he's going to like murder everyone. And that's it. That's all. People are like, wow, that was so neat. But that's it. Like, Russell Crowe will have like 3 lines. The end. Yeah. I'm convinced of this. If he has more, that's great. Fine. But I'm convinced that's it. That dude is super dead. He's done.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. Yeah, I'm going back to Moon Knight. I'm very excited for whatever they decide to do here. I think Oscar Isaac is fantastic. I think the Moon Knight character could be very, very unique and something they have not explored at all in the MCU. I don't know how he's going to like. In a lot of ways, I think the thing that I'm most excited for, because I don't know how it's going to work, is just him interacting with like other people in the MCU, right? Like how, and like who does he interact with in terms of like a power level conversation, right? Is it like he's not just going to walk up and be like, hi, Captain Marvel, how's it going? I'm Moon Knight, right? Like, that's not going to happen. So I don't know if it'll just be kind of its own thing or what the link in will be. Or if it's going to be something with like, you know, future movies where Doctor Strange needs them or Eternals have to somehow, I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be.
That is a fascinating question. I don't know, at least in the MCU, I don't know where he fits in like a team dynamic.
A lot of people are thinking with like Blade coming out, like they're going to go that route and explore the more like, evil / darker realm of the MCU. I just don't, I hope like we're not
vaguely
fighting
supernatural.
Yeah. I hope we're not fighting like fucking vampires and shit. Right? Like, I don't want to get to that.
I mean, level. if we are, then that's, you know, that's Blade, right? So, I mean, like it fits. It's weird.
It's going to be real weird, man. When Blade's like just fighting vampires in the MCU, like that's a, that might be like, all right, this is too far. This is too far. It's like my suspension of disbelief or whatever is gone. It's gone. I'm out. Blade's fucking fighting vampires. They're turned into ash. That might be too much for me.
I mean, we also have, like, it's so weird when you think about it. Like, Blade shows up in the MCU, and now it's like, oh, vampires have always been a part of this world,
right?
In the MCU world, like that's another level of just like, all right,
yeah. And I don't know why that's such a big chat's making like great, like you don't care about aliens and witches, but vampires is too far. Yeah. Yeah, I think because then that means like Dracula has to exist, right? Like there has to be the original vampire. You gotta get into the lore of that shit.
I mean, he did in the animated series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. That might be weird. Unless it all comes from the Darkhold. I don't know. Like maybe that's how I'm like, okay, all right, the Darkhold maybe. Maybe Mephisto's in Blade. Okay. Where are the signs? Let's look for him.
I definitely think the part that makes it a little bit unbelievable or not mesh as well for me is less that like, oh, you can believe in aliens and witches, but you know, vampires are too far. It's that nobody knows about their existence. Like you're telling me nobody, like Tony Stark, nobody would know that there are vampires and that they're apparently abundant and they have nightclubs. Like I feel like at some point somebody would know that, like, you know, there's nightclubs where vampires go and they've refitted the sprinkler system to spray blood and they have really great taste in music.
Yeah. I mean, first off, God, what a great scene.
That's
Second
great
off,
scene. Great. One of the greatest scenes.
Everyone, you're right, Bronze. I think the biggest thing here is that the aliens and the super, like all the things we are seeing, right? We are experiencing them for the first time as like we as a human race got invaded for the first time, you know, in 2012 or whatever, right? Like one of those vibes where it's like this is all these characters are experiencing things for the first time, and the only thing that seems old is Tilda Swinton, who is supposed to be like secretly in the background saving the world,
right? And
then they sort of retconned that character into the fight in New York, right? As like I was helping, wink. But like, I mean, I guess they could do that with the vampires and be like, actually, at the same time in New York, vampires were helping kill people. I don't, but it's just one of those things where it's like aliens and ghosts and supernatural stuff and all that stuff works, but then just adding in vampires, I don't know if it's because vampires are tropey or if it's just because it's like another level. But at that point, you're like, yeah, and then there were like zombies, and like, then there were mummy people, and then Bigfoot was there.
Wait,
and,
what
like,
are mummy people? Do you mean mummies?
No, mummy people. Like, they aren't actually mummies. They're like mummy people. They're like people made of mummies or something.
I'm glad we had this explained. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, you know, and it's just like that kind of thing where it's just now it's like too much, and it's not fair to vampires. Sorry, vampires watching at home.
Yeah, sorry we don't want to offend any vampires. That's very astute of you, Jesse. We're not trying to piss you guys off.
We were talking about Jubilee earlier.
Well, Jubilee fucking sucks.
Yeah, she's a vampire.
What?
Like, yeah, there's an entire story arc. I think she's cured now, but there was an entire story arc where Jubilee was a vampire. That was the thing.
All right, maybe Jubilee.
Because I think sometimes they don't even know what to do with vampires. I feel like Constantine handled this the best in terms of like how the DC comics handled it, where it's basically just like most people don't perceive magic and weirdness because like we're trained not to. We're trained to ignore the strange, you know? Mm-hmm. And once you do see it, you cannot unsee it. And that's like a big part of like the Constantine comics is that there's weird shit happening like around every corner of New York, and he sees it and other people just walk past. They do not question that which is weird because it's like, you know, we don't have anything like that in the MCU where it's like, oh yeah, there's like vampires and we're just like, no, those are two people making out, because that's very easy for my feeble human mind to process. Even though there's blood, even though there's things about this situation that's exceptional, I'm going to ignore it because I don't even want to consider that that person could be a vampire. Like, unfortunately, MCU doesn't really have that. So yeah, I think that's like where it's like, it's unbelievable that there would be vampires and nobody would know. except for Blade.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be weird. It's going to be a weird thing to figure out. It's also, I mean, like, this goes back to the big conundrum of mutants. Like, how do you introduce mutants into a world where there have been no mutants
so far that we know of? How do you
somebody would have slipped up?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you're telling me Tony wouldn't have been like, I identified this dude who can set himself on fire and shoot fireballs. Like, that seems like a huge thing for someone to do.
Yeah.
But like, this guy, he just cannot die for some reason. He, like, you can rip his body apart and he's fine. Which, you know, I guess we will see for the first time when they include Deadpool where they go with all this. Like, is Deadpool out? I guess Deadpool can get away with being outside because he can literally look at the camera and be like,
he's fourth Wally.
"Wow, I'm here now," you know, like, and then everyone will be like,
what if that's how they introduce mutants? What if it's just Deadpool just kind of like monologuing at the camera and he's like, oh yeah, by the way, mutants are in the MCU now. Here's Cyclops. And then they pan over to Scott Summers and he's a fucking like badass. So. That's the dream.
I mean, yeah, that's definitely a post-credit scene for sure. Like, yeah, no, this is it.
Yeah. Also, I just learned, I was Googling this whole Jubilee as a vampire thing. Did you know that Jubilee's full name is Jubilation Lee?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know that. I'm learning everything. Maybe I'm, you know, she looks kind of badass as a vampire. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm, you know, maybe Jubilee's kind of cool.
Can I ask you another question? How come some characters at Xavier's Academy like shorten their name or use parts of their name, and then other characters literally just, I'm like, I am Cyclops? A lot of questions there. What are the rules about your superhero name in that academy? It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Who gets to change or who gets to choose it?
Like, do they all just like, you can be whatever you want? And some people are like, you know what? My name already sounds cool. And some people are like, I guess I could be Summer Man. Like, no, Scott. No, you're Cyclops. Not Summer Man? No, Scott. No.
Summer
it's like
Man.
Jean Grey is Jean Grey until she's not Jean Grey. And then like Storm, right? And like Wolverine. And there's like, you know what? No, you know what? No, I'm just gonna be Jubilee. They're like, oh, because it's like two parts of your name combined. That's amazing. And she's like, yeah. Who are you? I'm Summerman. No, Scott. No. You're Cyclops.
Xavier's just yelling at him nonstop. You're pretty good.
Yeah. Everyone calls him Scott anyway.
You know, the weird thing, we keep talking about X-Men. They're going to have to recast Xavier, right? Because the whole story of the X-Men doesn't work unless you have Xavier. And like Magneto.
It has to be good.
Yeah.
It has to be good casting. Like that
it has to be the best casting of all.
Is. Yes, that is the person that holds it all together. And I think obviously Patrick Stewart was perfect, like perfect casting.
He was, yeah.
And James McAvoy was like, all right. Like
he
I enjoyed that.
Bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't hate him.
Yeah, but whoever it is has to be like, I think honestly in the newer X-Men movies, the thing is he wasn't the focus. Like he wasn't the main character.
No.
Right, like honest to God, I think maybe Magneto was the main character of the new movies.
Yeah,
that's how I feel like most of the time.
All right, Jesse, stay with me. To keep up the theme of Marvel casting musicians, we've got Tom Morello and Iron Man.
As Iron Man, yeah.
We've got Billy Corgan as Professor X.
Billy Corgan is the last thing I want.
He can also introduce vampires, Jesse.
The last thing I want is him to roll in and be like, the world has vampires.
Yes.
Doom, doom, doom,
yes.
Doom, doom.
It takes two stones.
I would hate
two birds out with one stone.
The world has vampires. I would hate that. That would suck.
I think Marvel needs to hire us, Jesse. I think we've got some writing jobs.
That would be, if Marvel wants to tank an entire franchise, hire us.
Yeah, and then hire Bronze to be like, don't listen to these idiots. Please don't listen to them. She could be the
but then they'd only keep Bronze on and they get rid of us. That doesn't work for me. I want that.
We'd
Marvel
get one
money.
movie out of it though, Jesse. That's all we need. One movie to steer this ship.
The first and last new MCU X-Men movie is like like, come on, come with me. We have got to go see. I don't know why Storm has an accent again. Come on, we've got to go. We've got to go see Professor X, and he rolls in like the world has vampires, and then Blade shows up. And he's like,
Yep. Yep. And then Nick Cage shows up, and he's Wolverine. He's got mutton chops and everything. 100%.
Wow. I've got claw hands.
And Christopher Walken is Magneto.
That's a terrible casting choice.
That's the best
That's
casting.
truly one of the worst casting choices ever.
When y'all start casting shit, it's
so bad.
Hurts. Every time it just becomes
Danny DeVito is Juggernaut. Oh, so good. So good.
DeVito, I'm the Juggernaut, bitch.
Yep.
He'd do it.
Danny DeVito's Wolverine, I would show up for. I would show up for that. Like a short, angry, stocky Wolverine.
Now that I think about it, they're going to have to do so much casting for an X-Men movie.
Yes.
There's going to be like 30 fucking characters in that movie. Because if you do an X-Men movie and you don't include, like, who's in an X-Men movie? Like, do they go with the classic characters? Do they go with like the fringe characters? Do they go with like, who's the X-Men that has the sword? In the Hickman run that's currently occurring, there's a sword character.
Are you talking about Ilyana Rasputin?
Magic is her name.
Magic,
with a K.
Yeah.
Do they go like that?
I like how
route?
I dropped her government name, but could not remember the word magic.
Yeah. Like, do they go that route? I don't know.
I think they have to go with this. I don't know. I wonder if this has to be like Batman. You know what I mean? To everyone watching, you know what I mean when I say it has to be like Batman, where every Batman movie, they, like, except for Catwoman, because I think people are lazy, every Batman movie they use a different villain, except for the Joker and Catwoman. Like, you saw the first couple Batmans, and then you saw the Christopher Nolan Batman, and like, they were all just like, okay, well, they didn't use this character, they didn't use this character, and so let's change this or change. Like, I don't know. Now that I think about it, they did use Bane again, and so
Riddler's coming back too in the new one.
Ignore my point. Just ignore it.
Okay.
I thought in my mind, like, oh yeah, no, they're really smart about Batman where they didn't use all the villains. No, they definitely reused a bunch. So ignore me. I just had a brain fart. Wink. But the point is apt. That I think maybe they'll use characters that we don't know yet.
Oh, like new X-Men, like original creation of the MCU
that we don't have to compare them to. Right?
Oh, yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, like a Magic, yeah. Where they have not been cast in a movie yet, for sure.
Yes, like a great example of why I think the uproar. Going back to Batman, I think I'm trying to save myself here.
Okay.
Why I think the uproar is like an unnecessary thing they can avoid is just looking at the new Riddler stuff.
Yeah.
The new Batman movie that's coming out. A lot of people are upset that the Riddler doesn't look like Riddler. And they're like, who is this S&M fiend? Who is this guy? And they're like, well, they try to go a different direction with the character. And they're like, I hate it. It doesn't look like... And then they show a picture like Jim Carrey. I was like, yeah, well, even that wasn't goofy. So I don't...
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. That's a tough one. It's a tough problem to solve, I think, for the MCU. But they'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Or they won't, and it'll be terrible, and that'll be the downfall of the MCU.
They get paid a lot of money to figure it out.
Yeah. They hire a lot of smart people there. The last bit of news, and perhaps we can use this as an educational moment. How do you say her? I know the first name is Danai, right? Okoye's actress. How do you say? Is it Danai? Because I try to like pronounce it in the incomplete, the completely wrong way, as like Gurira, but that's because I grew up in San Antonio, and so that's how I read that. But that's not how that's said. I don't think. Is it really Gurira?
But I don't know if that's like I don't know the appropriate way to say it.
Yeah, I don't either. Chat's saying it's like Gurira or Gurira.
According to the internet, it's Danai Gurira.
Gurira.
I was close. I was Gurira.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Gurira.
Okay.
I here's the thing. You're not alone in asking this. Literally, if you look up her name, the first thing that showed up for me is literally straight up like an actual Google program where you press a mouth and it goes Danai Gurira.
There you go.
Literally, it just does it. So other people had the exact same thought.
There you go. Well, anyways, Danai is going to be playing Okoye in Disney Plus's series. I think around Wakanda. Isn't it just called Wakanda? I guess they don't have a name. But she'll be there.
Do they say, is it supposed to be a backstory or just a side story of hers?
Let me dive into the article a bit more. She'll obviously be in Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. It doesn't actually say. Yeah, it doesn't say. It says the untitled Black Panther TV series will also come from Coogler's Proximity Media banner, take place in the Kingdom of Wakanda. Although there haven't been any plot details revealed, fans have long hoped for a series that centers on Wakanda's all-female fighting force. There's no information on who could be joining Gurira on the show, but her involvement gives fans hope that they'll dive deeper into the military mindset and team dynamics among the impressive combatants in their own project. And then it goes to a 2019 quote from Danai about the Dora Milaje, but nothing of note after that. So yeah, that's entertainmenttonightonline.com reporting that.
Man, even though it's nothing to do with Marvel, everyone's talking about Batman, and Court of Owls will be really fun in a movie. But whatever, that's agreed.
True.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. That'd be super fun.
We'll see how it goes in the game first.
Also, I need to come back to this. I don't know what it says about me in movies, but like, boy, I suck at like remembering movies.
What do you mean?
I'm terrible at it. I was like, I had a Tom Morello moment where I just was like, yeah, it's so great that all the Batman movies use different villains. Nah, that's not true at all. That's not true at all.
They use the same rotating cast.
Oh, I need a
or not cast, but yeah.
It's 10 a.m. Is it time for a stiff drink? Can I?
It could be. It's 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock somewhere.
That's what they say. That's what they say. I would love a Black Panther show or a Wakanda show that just focuses on the Dora Milaje, especially if it's just them like walking around beating superheroes' asses, saying like, "Hey, give us our tech back," or "Give us that shit back," whatever. I'm into that. I want to see more of that show.
I love just the world they've set up, and I think I mentioned this before. I would love to actually see actual Wakanda more than just
the rest of the world
scene where they're like walking down one street in Wakanda. Every wide shot they have, it's like the coolest place that ever was, and then we see one actual scene in Wakanda, and I'm like, yo, show me more. Yeah, I would love that.
I mean, they did that with I'm fucking blanking. What was the place that they go to in Falcon and the Winter Soldier? The like crime hub of the world that they introduced.
Oh, Madripoor.
Yeah. I was gonna say like it would be expensive for them to just show Wakanda in all its glory, but they kind of showed Madripoor in its glory in a lot of ways, so they could do that.
You got the vibe of the city. You immediately you got a shot of them going to it. You got a shot in it. There was extra shots that made no sense where she's like walking past barricades and like guys with guns. But whatever. When we saw Wakanda, most of what we saw was wide shots, and then we saw one scene where they were talking in the city, and that was it.
Yeah.
And it was like on a corner on some stairs, and you kind of saw like people walking past maybe the Starbucks or whatever. But like you barely saw the actual city. And I would love to see more of like that sort of like, God, like the vibe was so neat.
It would have to be a very political show in the sense of it would cover the like politics within Wakanda, right? Like the different tribes and how they interact with each other and how they're, the power grabs that they all have with one another. I think that would be pretty interesting to see.
But even the idea
I think it would also.
Go for it.
Oh, okay, hear me out. Wouldn't it kind of also be like Baywatch? In the sense that Yeah, in the sense that like so much of their work is like, oh, this thing happened. Let's deploy humanitarian aid or like find out a way to help or like there's poachers over here or human traffickers. And it's like almost like a EMS or not like yeah, like a EMS type of show in the sense that they do so much work on the entire continent
Sure.
in terms of helping people. And even that one character that I feel like definitely deserved more screen time. They didn't do a good job fleshing them out as much. That was like T'Challa's love interest. Like, isn't she like an undercover operative?
Yes.
Like where it's very heavily implied that she's like deeply embedded, trying to figure out like human rights violations and like take them out. I know, I'm sure people are like, Baywatch, isn't that a show about girls in bikinis? Actually, every episode is like, there's a kid stuck underneath a capsized boat over here. We got to go rescue them. It at its core is still like kind of an EMS show. So I think maybe that's why. Maybe there's another EMS show that is not Baywatch, but that's the only one I could think of.
All I'm saying is,
Sorry.
I am here for slow motion Dora Milaje running.
Yeah.
I think we should have it. I want more of it. No, I was actually thinking something very similar, but like the flip side, Bronze, where at the end of the last several movies, Wakanda has opened itself to the world, right? And so I would love to see the version of Wakanda where it's like, for X, like 1,000 years, Wakanda has been Wakanda, and the people of Wakanda have done Wakanda things. And now, like, Chaz, get over here. Chaz, stop touching the Wakandans. We got to get our Starbuckies. Chaz, like, I want to see the tourists. I want to see people going to Wakanda.
You want to see the Disney
time.
tourists going to Wakanda.
I want to see the, like, the world coming to Wakanda and Wakanda having to adjust to the world that for so long they've kept out.
I mean, it would definitely be a story, right? Like they would have to talk about that. Yeah.
Like the world sucks. And yet now that world is coming to this place that they were like, this is our awesome utopia. And they were just like, Chandler, bring the cooler. They've got cheap sodas here. We're going to get a bunch for when we go out into the wilderness.
Hunter, stand next to that Dora Milaje and take a photo. Smile, Hunter, smile.
Can
he hold your spear?
Like a drunk dude, like poking the spear, like they can't do anything. Get it? And then he's like impaled. It's like, oh, they got me.
Correct me on my Black Panther 1 lore. Did Black Panther's sister get Starbucks in Wakanda, or did she want Starbucks from outside of Wakanda? So they don't have Starbucks in Wakanda. I want to see a story about how Starbucks gets into Wakanda. That's what I want.
There's a line about change in Wakanda, and the joke is, I thought it meant we were getting a Starbucks or something like that.
Yeah, that's how they open that show. Is they're at Starbucks getting
in Wakanda?
Coffee
yes,
in Wakanda.
We have, even though I'm like joking, they have to show the outside world coming to Wakanda. They have to show it, and they have to show how different it's made everything.
It's like a McDonald's being built. There.
Yes, they for a century they've had no McDonald's, and now a McDonald's shows up. Like, what does that do to the world of Wakanda?
I want to know. Like, I would. What did they eat that wasn't McDonald's? I bet you it was fucking amazing.
Here's the thing. I know it was probably amazing.
It's probably really 10 times better, right?
Again, the whole point is supposed to be like this, like futuristic utopian society, and everyone there was like, doing great to the point where they some people like kind of want to live on the outside and like live in a border tribe and just chill because they have that choice. Like that's the vibe. Where it's like, I don't even want to do the big city thing. I'm gonna like go live in the wilderness because like I want to. Like that is, I think,
there's a lot of different stories they could explore in Wakanda. That would all be great.
And they don't even have to leave. Like, I would be disappointed if a Dora Milaje story involved leaving Africa.
Yeah.
Well, they don't have to. There's so many stories you can tell, and you don't have to go to like, any other nation, like fictional or real in the world, to tell a story that could be about like a badass group of women warriors. Like, I'm down for whatever.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I think that show could actually be very, very good. There's so much they could explore. with the entire city structure and the political structure and all that stuff. And I agree with Jesse. Like the second they leave Wakanda, I'm done. If they have to go to like fucking Arkansas to battle some like assholes, and then they come back, like I don't want to see Wakandans in Arkansas. I want to see Wakandans in Wakanda, right?
Yeah, and I don't need them to go back to Madripoor. I don't need them to go to Latveria. I don't need them to go anywhere to like set up new things. Set up stuff that's in like you have a whole like Wakanda. Explore that. We have no Wakanda exploration at all. Period.
Yeah. Does Wakanda ever get destroyed in the comics? Is there ever, because like what's it called? I'm blanking on Thor's place. It already got destroyed in the MCU, but it became like
Asgard.
Asgard became like a town somewhere in the middle of America.
Is it canonical? Is it like currently canonical? At one point in time, it was flooded. But is that canonical to like what's going on in the world? Like, look, comics are comics. Where like sometimes it's like it happened, and then other times like, yeah, we retcon that.
Oh,
Chat's saying still a thing.
Chat's saying Namor destroys it, so maybe that's a plot line. Is fucking Atlanteans versus Wakanda?
Yeah, was it a flood? Like completely flooded?
Yeah, that's what they're saying. That'd be an interesting way to take that. Although I don't know. That'd be kind of a shit way to introduce Namor.
It could also be kind of like what are those, like those White House drama type shows?
Like West Wing?
I feel like I feel like that would be another thing, because I know that like even the Inhumans like basically consulted with T'Challa when they were determining whether or not human beings were worth fucking with. Essentially, they were like, so you're a prized individual among your people, and we respect your opinion. Should we go to war with the filthy humies? Like, a lot of people will call, like, they have like T'Challa on speed dial, and I understand like they have to handle who's going to take up that mantle with Chadwick Boseman's passing, but I think Wakanda would still hold that position of like, you have a very valued opinion amongst our people. Like, can you arbitrate this dispute or, come in and consult on this? And it might be a good opportunity to open up the world a little bit, but I don't know. I'm not sure they're going to do that in a show.
Yeah. Could though. Be into it.
Shout out to Galron. We're saying they've already hinted investigating earthquakes under the ocean in Endgame.
Yeah, there was that moment where she
totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
It's possible that like that's the transition into the series, and they could be like Atlantis versus Wakanda, which is like
an
old rivalry. I mean, like that could be pretty cool. I don't know how I would be able to handle like going to Atlantis. I'd be like, I don't know. I have no idea who knows? Like that could be wild if that's what happens.
Is Namor gonna be in a Speedo?
Yeah, like they would have to introduce Namor, right?
Obviously.
Also, here's another question.
Speedo.
If they they are doing a Wakanda show. Is Black Panther in that show, or is he off like doing other shit? Is he like the entry point in the pilot, and then he fucks off and goes and does Avengers things for the rest of the season? Right? Like who's the center focus there? Because if they focus on Atlantis, then it has to be Namor versus Black Panther, right? Because otherwise that's just like there's no power equal in that way.
I think whoever takes up the mantle of the Black Panther would be gone a good chunk of the time.
Yeah, he's doing Black Panther
because there's
stuff.
always that's like a AAA hero, so they're responsible for the whole world.
Yeah.
But I think that actually explains why everybody in the Black Panther film, one of the things I really liked about it is everyone was actually efficient and good at their job. And it's because they're very used to handling themselves, even when T'Challa is not around. They're not a bunch of babies like, T'Challa is not here and we're under attack. And now the whole kingdom is on fire. They're like, we can hold our own. I think that's like part of the reason why the Dora are so good. And Shuri is like, like a very like proficient in what she has to do, because it's just like this idea of like, we don't need Dad to sit here and handle everything. When Dad is off fighting galactic evil, we're fine. We can handle our own shit. So I'd actually be interested in seeing a show without the Black Panther character.
Plus, he's also a politician, right? He's like, he goes around, he represents the country. He's doing other things besides just like sneaking around on the cover of night and like kicking ass. He's also like at the UN Council doing,
Yeah. It's all true. I don't know. They could take that show a lot of ways. I think by the time that show actually airs, though, the MCU will not look like it does today in a lot of ways. So we'll probably have a better idea of where that's going to go, right? Mm-hmm. So in a lot of ways, I think Eternals is going to kind of change course and set us in a new path. Hopefully, I would suppose that they would put us on a different path there, but we will see. I think that's kind of all of the proper news. How long have we been? We're going an hour. I mean, we could
this
stop here.
Hour-long podcast.
Yeah, we could. It's as close to an hour as we're gonna get. You know, I'm okay with stopping here. I don't think there's any other. Chad, if you guys have seen any big MCU news, I think this is the week where they kind of just like they're just chilling. We'll probably get some more Loki, like minute-long clips on like Wednesday-ish. To remind everyone, hey, this starts next Wednesday. And then next week, they'll ramp up all of the marketing and all the press, and it'll be all over the place. And then Loki starts next Wednesday. That's how it's going to go. Tier list? We can't really do a tier list. We've already been going an hour and a half. The tier list is probably going to be our shows. We'll get to that eventually. That's what it's going to be. We'll be on episode.
Although you
Loki
did tweet.
season 3. Let's take a look at the tier list, guys. Let's go ahead.
And you did tweet today.
I said maybe
making rankings today.
Yeah, put a question mark.
I'm just saying you set the expectations high.
We did that 2 weeks ago. Then we talked for 2.5 hours on something completely different. Yeah.
Yep.
But that's when we talked about the very amazing Vision comic.
Oh, you got it.
How many of you went? Oh yeah, I had it in singles, but I wanted to reread it after that conversation, and I did not want to break open the bags and boards. Because once I read a comic, they get sealed away, and getting them back out is impossible. So I own 2 of everything. I own it in trade paperback format and single, which is I'm going to be on the Hoarder show soon.
Uh-oh. Of all types,
nobody needs that many comics.
Yeah, comic book owners, like physical comic book owners, probably end up on Hoarders more often than not, I would say.
We're sick. Yeah. We need help.
I would agree.
I've said that about you frequently.
Jesus.
Stop it.
I don't say help. That. Yeah. You just tweet Michael Jordan memes at her?
Yeah.
You know
every
what?
Day.
In my tier list, somebody coughed JP just moved up and somebody else just moved down.
I'm flattered that I was above JP before. That's beautiful. Thank you,
well, you both were on the hate Ant-Man list.
I'm so excited that I didn't know I was above JP until just now. That's amazing. Thank you.
You can't spin this positive for you, Jesse.
Bronze.
This is a negative thing.
Not anymore. What? We're on divorce number 6 now, Jesse.
Oh shit.
We always get back together. I ain't worried. I ain't worried.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, the only comics I bought in the past week, I bought the entire omnibus, the 3 collections for Invincible. All 144 issues. Those things are fucking thick, man. They're like 1,000 pages each.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Get ready to be revealed that we're like the series is like not even a third.
No, we're 12 issues in.
Yeah. I love that people are like, damn, how much of this is left? I'm like,
yeah. I've read the series. Yeah, I've read the thing. But I read it on an iPad.
Lock and Key.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I have trouble reading on iPads for some reason, but like Lock and Key goes on for quite a bit too, and people were like, so like is the first season of the show that's like, or we what, halfway through? And I was like,
yeah. I didn't finish that show. Did the show get eventually as dark as the comic gets? Or did they side skirt that and make it still like YA?
I want to say for the most part, no. Because like the the comic is especially like the trauma that the main character endures at the beginning is a lot worse.
It's fucking dark as hell
than whatever they did in the show. Yeah, the show they definitely Stranger Thingsified it to make it, I think, more friendly for a younger audience.
Yeah, yeah. The end. I mean, once you get to the like cove aspect of the show and like what that thing is, it's fucking dark. Like it's terrifying. So yeah,
they haven't delved into that whole thing. I mean, it was kind of the same thing with Preacher. I liked the first season. After that, I think if that show fell off hard. But I'm a big Preacher fan, and I was like, how are they going to do a show where you have like somebody staple somebody's face to a wall? And
did you
this show is insane, or this comic is insane. Like, how are they going to do that in a show and have any of it work?
I didn't watch the final season, but they definitely went like full bore Preacher. Like Jesus was in Preacher, and like he was what Jesus was in the comics. So,
yeah. I don't think I watched the last season. I stopped someplace in the New Orleans,
that's where I fell off too.
Yeah. The show just falls off so hard at some point.
Yeah,
and I'm just American Gods kind of went the same way. I know that's not a comic, but and the same thing with Sandman. I'm very interested. I know they're doing like the fully voice acted audio version of it. But there have been rumblings for years about a movie or a show. And at one point, they were saying Joseph Gordon-Levitt was going to play Morpheus. This was like 4 years ago. Nothing ever came of it, even though it kept getting reported for like over a year. Like Joseph Gordon-Levitt's apparently a big fan of Sandman, super excited to play Morpheus. And I was like, you know what? I can actually kind of see him as Morpheus. Yeah. But I had the same thought where I was like, yo, Sandman is dark. Like some things I think fit better as a comic book because they're less horrifying. I'm not trying to mitigate like the storytelling, but actually watching humans go through something versus like something that's like hand drawn and animated, I think is very different because there's a layer of separation there. So some of the stuff like that diner scene from Preludes and Nocturnes, I'm like, there's some stuff in that I'm like, do as cool as it would be to see people gradually go insane in a diner and start like self-mutilating and doing God knows what. I'm also just like, which audience is going to watch this? Who's going to be like, yes, we want this type? I'm sure they're out there, but do they know they want Sandman, or are they going to be like, it's a comic book show? No, thank you.
You saw the casting for Sandman came out, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
It actually looks solid. Yeah.
Yeah. They all got cast.
I know there was like a lot of people that were like upset. But like, why are there pronouns up there? Stuff like that. I was like, y'all really did not read the comics.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Like, we're talking about eternal beings that are very much like espouse feelings. They're not even like people. Why?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm excited for that. It should be good. We'll see how it goes. Anyways, let's just wrap the show up. Let's get as close to an hour as possible. This might be the show that does it.
What?
This might be a show that does it. Because we're at an hour and 30 now. Next week we'll probably preview a lot of the Loki stuff, I think. I would think that people would have seen the first couple episodes. Like there will be previews out next week that we can start to jump into and see what people are chatting about when it comes to the pilot. So we'll do that, and then maybe dive in a little bit more on what we can expect to see and where we think that that series is going. So the week after that is kind of up in the air when it comes to the 14th. I think E3 will be over-ish by that time. I'm not sure. Nintendo hasn't announced like when they're doing their direct, and it's usually very early in the morning on the final day of E3-ish. So I would think that's going to be Monday. We should be okay when it comes to that, but we'll let you guys know. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at MCU Crew, as well as if you want to listen to us on the podcast, you can just look for the MCU Crew and feel free to leave a review. But before we go, let's do some shout-outs. Bronze, what do you got going on this week? Where can people check you out?
Oh, yeah. Well, I got a lot of shout outs. 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 I got a lot of shout outs Hi, hello. I'm That Bronze Girl. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter at That Bronze Girl. Today I'm gonna try to beat Resident Evil Village. I'm very close to the end, and I'm playing on hardcore. And I've beaten some of the bosses in my first try. So, yeah, I've also been back into League of Legends lately. So that's all bad.
Oh boy.
I know, it's a dark hole. The newest episode of my D&D game just went up on YouTube. You can check that out if you want to. And we're doing kind of like an interlude where we do a series of one-shots where each of the players levels up and unlocks like some cool class features. So if you want to see that, check it out.
There you go.
Tuesday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Bronze, I have a question for you. Have you been to Denny's recently?
No.
Okay. All right.
Why?
That's just Krendor always likes to ask League of Legends fans when's the last time they went to Denny's. So
if you're wondering, what does that mean? Why? If you have many questions, if you're like, what does that mean, JP? Or
it's a segue.
Bronze,
why do you hate League of Legends yet still play it? Go watch at youtube.com/Cox and Krendor the newest episode of our Cox and Krendor animated series, which is about League of Legends. And it equates it to drug use. And it's very funny. And Krendor goes off. And then we discover Krendor has a series of, when you're salty and you want to say naughty words, Krendor talks about Denny's. And so there you go. Go watch it. It's great. It is 2 minutes of your life that you will be thankful you saw. I do that. And I do 85,000 podcasts. And I do like 1 million shows. And I, make the videos and play the games and make the games. And, in general, have no free time. But I'd be willing to make free time for my future ex-wife, Bronze. Back to you, JP.
We'll see you guys next week. I don't even know how to get out of there. I'm going to keep streaming. If you're watching this live on Twitch, we're doing FPS Fest, playing more Battlefront. By the way, Jesse, and I guess Bronze as well, have you guys played Battlefront 2? It's like quite good. Reese, I didn't know if you knew
Battlefront 2?
Yeah, like they actually made that game good. I played as BB-8 yesterday and I fought the Emperor and it was great. It was
that is
real
a scene
stupid.
I need to have watched.
It's real dumb. The fucking Emperor, the Emperor's sitting there like floating, and he's got little electric shit shooting out of his hands, and BB-8's just whipping shit around constantly, and I won. I killed the Emperor as BB-8.
Canonical. It's canonical now.
Also, there's an Ewok mode. Have you heard about this Ewok mode?
No.
There's an Ewok mode that is basically zombies, if you've ever played that FPS game type. So you start off and there's 2 Ewoks or 1 Ewok. There's like 15 stormtroopers and they're in the forest in the middle of the night and all they have is a flashlight. And there's little tiny Ewoks running around and they kill you. And when you die, you become an Ewok. And it's fucking great. It's hilarious because there's just flashlights flailing in the air. And then a little Ewok guy like stabs a fucking stormtrooper and scurries off. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. They turned it into a like scary ass game mode. It's great.
That's pretty great.
It's great. Yeah. So I've been playing that. Anyways, that's what we got going on. We'll see you next week. Loki comes out. We'll be previewing that and getting excited for that. And then the week after that, we'll be reviewing that first episode, which I think we're all very, very excited for. The drought will be over and potentially for a while, right? Because I think, does Black Widow come out after Loki or in the middle of Loki? Comes out like after. July. Is Loki 9th, done?
July 9th.
Okay.
If it's 6, maybe not. If it's 6 episodes?
Yeah.
No, it couldn't be. There's more than there's no way. It'll be maybe like, I don't know.
We'll take a look next week. So. We'll take a look.
Maybe the last episode will come out the week after it's over.
Yeah. We'll take a look. Anyways, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching the MCU Crew. We'll see you next week for more on Monday at noon Eastern. Bye-bye.